Let's get cracking!
Welcome everybody here to your coverage of the D2CL, the Champions League, where we all come together to watch some of the best teams in both Europe as well as the US compete up against each other for a wonderful prize pool, not only funded by our wonderful organizers, but also by you guys, the community. If you bought a Dota TV ticket, I thank you very much for your awesome addition to our prize pool. Not to mention, hopefully you get a couple of the unlocks, and hopefully we may even crack a couple more as we're going to head into our playoffs shortly. But in order to get there, we must finish our group stage matches. The playoffs are scheduled to start on Tuesday because we have our last two matches from the group stages right now. Alliance versus RoX will be our first game of the night kicking off. And while we bring up our screen in just a moment to show this up, I'm going to say hello to my co-caster for tonight, Clairvoyance, man. How long has it been? It's like you've been just spending so much time with Cap and hardly any with me.
That's okay, man. I'm always available for whenever you're in need of anybody else. But it certainly does feel like aeons, because I have to say, with all the Dota that's been going around, I personally haven't been participating over the last week. But I do want to bring to attention that EG putting out one of the finest performances in EG history by winning a LAN, actually. Came to a surprise of a lot of fans, of course, to good surprise, and to my delight as well. Seeing my friends win, it's always a pleasure. But I wanted to bring up EG mainly because RoX, KIS, as well as Alliance, these are two teams that, from my personal eyes, I actually haven't seen them play in quite some time. Now, I do understand Alliance played up the CD draft match against Na'Vi and lost 2-1. I read up on the results. But I was unfortunately unable to catch up on it, specifically due to the LAN events that were going on at the same time. So I'm wondering how Alliance will fare. It's been a while since I've seen them play some amazing Dota, and I know they certainly can put it up. On the other hand, RoX KIS has beaten Empire, or went even against Empire, and I consider Empire to be one of the strongest teams as of current times. So this is going to be a pleasure to watch, man.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it as well. Just to let everybody know what's at stake for this matchup, every team was meant to play 4 games in their group stages. Now, the only 2 teams that haven't played their matches, 4 teams, you'd actually technically say, are the teams from Group 1. So Alliance versus RoX now, and then Fnatic going up against Sigma later. Now, what this means for RoX, they're sitting at 1-2 currently in the group. This is obviously their last match to play. And then Alliance sitting at 2-1. So if Alliance end up losing this best of 3, they're actually in jeopardy of being knocked out of the playoffs. And this is the reason why is because Fnatic are also sitting at 1-2. So if Fnatic will triumph over Sigma this evening and force them to be 0-4, then Fnatic and RoX find themselves drawn at 2 games apiece. Now, this is only if RoX is capable of beating Alliance. So we could have ourselves a 3-way tie with 3 teams being at 2 wins and 2 losses. If, however, RoX lose this and then Fnatic win their game, then it will be both the Alliance and Fnatic with Team Empire, who is #1 position in this group, advancing their way through to the playoffs with Cloud9, Na'Vi, and Virtus.pro. So that's what's at stake right now. So both these games tonight are must-win scenarios for both Alliance and RoX, and also Fnatic in a way. Unfortunately for Sigma, they have no way of achieving the playoffs.
Right. It's quite unfortunate for Sigma, who I feel like have plenty of potential to prove themselves back into the Tier 1 scene, because as of late, I guess a lot of people have been looking down on their performances, and quite honestly, it has been seeming rather lackluster at parts. But I guess the main story is this game, just as you say, a lot on the line, and certainly a lot more than I expected. It's always interesting when one team has the power to change the fate of multiple other teams, not just their oppositions. So in this case, we see Alliance right now picking up Dazzle as well as Invoker so early in the draft. And Invoker is not too much of a surprise, but Dazzle, I guess, has slowly crawled its way in there. And of course, I always credit this influence to Empire. It always goes back to Empire, who's been popularizing some of the most niche picks, as well as bringing back to the attention of players the amazing buffs that these heroes have gotten. And Dazzle has received plenty of buffs to well deserve the recognition that he gets right now. And of course, Ember Spirit in conjunction with the Treant Protector, that's a strategy that I first seen Na'Vi put to use, and it's fairly straightforward. I mean, you have the Ember Spirit that blocks the magical damage, and Treant Protector just happens to assist you on the physical department with the living armor, with the global presence of that. So
it also frees you up to go for those glass cannon kind of builds with the damage output, which you can rack up on the Ember Spirit. If you got living armor behind you, and then people getting up and close, then you got Leech Seed to also protect you. Yeah, it's
oh man,
powerful combination for RoX.
Yeah, like have you noticed the impact of that leech sit? Like honestly, ever since the changes to like it still maintains the AoE heal after the creep has died or the target has died. Like that thing is literally a team fight mech, and it just makes a complete turnaround depending on the situation of how many heroes are clustered around it. So I think it's a brilliant pickup, and I like the strategy that RoX is going right now. Very reminiscent of the old times with the Tree and Protector as well as the Weaver. Very straightforward aggression, I must say.
Yeah, it's the only thing I worry about for RoX is the fact that they can be exploited very early on, though. Like
Right.
the aggression is great, but Ember Spirit can get called out very early on. Weaver requires himself to have level 6, and until he gets to that point, even actually after he gets to that point, he needs to have enough life points that he can survive the initial
Oh yeah.
attack to then use his time lapse. So if he doesn't have that, obviously, you still got Living Armor protect, but Living Armor can only protect one target at a time. So Ember Spirit and Weaver have to be very, very careful about that. And Alliance could just force the issue straight off anyway. Like, you get a Nature's Prophet and a Dazzle. If you want a license to push, you've basically got it with those two heroes. And just one quick lockdown stunner to come out also from Alliance, and we might be seeing an Exort Invoker, and we just see him go straight in to getting Sunstrikes up. You look for pickoffs on the other lanes. More than likely, with this lineup, I would be expecting a Quas Wex, just because its control factor over the Weaver and the Ember Spirit is just ridiculously good. But Alliance have a lot of ways, I believe, to counter RoX if RoX have a really bad early game. And if they do have a bad early game, I'd almost wash my hands of this game for RoX, because it's gonna be so bad. A Weaver underfarmed, an Ember Spirit who ends up like, he'll do fisting from range, do minimal damage, and then all of a sudden it's just, what's my purpose in life?
Yeah, they're going to be questioning a lot of things. But as you said, man, Alliance's draft is very open, and certainly have a lot of different ways to go about with those kind of things. And part of it is, for example, Dota can pick up like a Slaughter or even the Nagasarin that's been getting recognition as well in recent times, and still be okay, because just as you said, those heroes are relatively squishy in the early stages.
And then a Lich as well?
Yeah, that's heavy commitment right there to the early game. Very heavy commitment, and I'm not too sure how well that goes against heroes like Invoker and Prophet. Prophet, namely, because we've seen this Weaver versus Prophet thing many times, and whether the lane matchup has evolved into numerous ways or not, we know that as the game progresses, if the Prophet can find that one critical moment where he can TP on top of the Weaver, secure either the Orchid disable or the disable that comes in the form of a Sheepstick, that Weaver is pretty much toast. So I feel like Alliance have the upper hand so far, but at the same time, RoX, very powerful early game.
Yeah, their early game control is amazing, which means Alliance do have to force something. That Enchantress ban from Goblike in the third slot was possibly one of the best things he could have done. Because with an Enchantress and Dazzle, they would have just either pushed the towers directly or dived in behind. And when you add a Lycan into the mix-up...
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
That's
dude.
scary.
See, I actually have been casting more Asian Dota recently than I have European and American. So I'm going to give an Asian perspective for the first part of this, and then you can give the American and European perspective. But as far as Asia goes, especially VG Gaming, these guys have been like first picking it out above absolutely everything else. And you have one Necro hero, it's good. You have two Necro heroes, it's amazing. Because you basically got Lycan, Prophet, and Invoker. All three heroes would love going Necro books, and you can't stop that push. Goblike bans out the Chen right now. I don't think that was the initial plan, but he's sitting there going, if I've got a Chen army to deal with as well, I'm going to hit 20 minutes into this game and not be able to stop the push coming out from Alliance, because they have Vladimir's aura, they have all these minions, they all get buffed up damage as well, and they get a huge ass Lycan on the front lines, which I know is going to hunt my Lich. It's going to hunt my Tree and Protector, and then Ember Spirit and Weaver are going to be there saying, I have no more buffers available.
Yeah, I think that Chen ban, just as you said, probably not planned, but certainly a necessity and obvious at this point. They don't want to find themselves being banged at their doors with maybe 100 different units of variations, and then have a Lich or Ember Spirit dishing out pitiful damage, just casting their spells and going, where did my damage go? Because they just don't have any impact against the Dazzle, as well as a mech push, possibly coming up from some of the other heroes such as the Prophet or a Dazzle that's getting really farmed from early towers. And speaking of which, plenty of towers will be going down, hopefully, in favor of Alliance, because that's what the draft looks like it's crafted to be.
Yeah.
Now, the Centaur ban as well, I think that's from a slight bit of Asian perspective as well. The last time I've seen that from the European scene was from Fnatic, where they completely rolled and ruffle stomped the other team.
Yeah,
but now
I got to cast that game.
Yeah, that's right. And Darkseer being picked up. I don't know, man. They don't have very much counter push at all.
And the Iron Shell's not going to do that great once you see Admiral Bulldog pick up the Hand of Midas. Like, you'd look for a double, like a double Iron Shell to try and slow it down. But a quick focus, like in the early game, is going to cause some issues, especially for Lycan, because Lycan's Wolves won't be anywhere near as effective ganking up the Darkseer. But as you can see right now, you can just wait it out. When you get a hero like a Bane come in towards the mix, now they get the lockdown on two different heroes, one through the Nightmare and one through the Fiend's Grip. And actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm only seeing 3 things on the map, 4 things. 4 things on the map for RoX, which will stop that Fiend's Grip, and 2 of them are ultimates.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess in that regard, they have options for counters. I do see the ultimates as well as like the Vacuum, Ember Spirit with the Sleight of Fist, as well as the Searing Chains if he's not the target of the Fiend's Grip, possibly canceling that channel. But at the same time, I'm looking at Alliance's lineup and the synergy of it, and I feel like RoX they can't rival it in the early stages at all, even though they have early game heroes, quote unquote, and so to speak. Like the Bane as well as Dazzle together, it's very similar to the Shadow Demon Dazzle. If they want to play it like that, what they can do is they can just sleep up the target, walk right next to him, and boom, drop a massive heal bomb that does ridiculous amounts of damage early. Not to mention it's physical as well, so against low armor targets, that damage is not mitigated at all. And it's just going to be a very rough scenario if Alliance decide to get the ball rolling early, because all these range heroes as well as the push that they have, they're never going to let RoX pick up the pace that they're looking to this game. So once again, I feel like Alliance have a very strong draft ahead of them, whereas RoX, they have a lot of commitment to the early game, but it's absolutely essential that they win their lanes.
Yep. For guys on the live stream, I apologize. I do not know why the live stream just all of a sudden dropped for a moment. But yeah, we lost connection to our intake server. Things came straight back up again, so I am just keeping a very, very close eye on it. But yeah, just letting people know that no, it wasn't you and Dailymotion dropping. That was, in fact, somewhere on this end. So just a warning. Just a warning. But don't fear. Don't fear. I'm watching. I never let a tech issue go unnoticed and unfixed. Nice invis Rudis up there from BZZ. He's going to have himself a... I don't know if I'm going to say a great time here on this top lane with the Dazzle Bane as well as a Lycan up here. It's going to be a rough zone to try and fight in. It's really going to be a rough zone to fight in. And Admiral Bulldog's going to get a lot of quick levels on this bottom lane. He should be able to win a lane up against Seedoy on this bottom lane too, but they're giving him a lot of consumables to try and tank this up. But I like the switch up with the mid lane. So they put Ember Spirit here in the middle lane, but they combine him up with Yol. And that's the best thing they could have done.
Yeah, that dueling is actually extremely powerful because solo at level 2 with a Frost Nova on the Lich is pretty much going to guarantee a kill on the Invoker. And look what S4 does immediately. He saved his cards with regards to holding on to his spells, ended up somehow getting the first CS against the Ember Spirit with it. But as soon as he saw the Lich in the lane, he just went quas and he said, there is no way I can sustain in this lane against that kind of harassment and killing potential. I have to go the safe build. And right now, there is no question in my mind that this has got to be OX quas.
Oh, that's really smart by S4. Realized Solo was tanking up against 2 of the melee creep, so he just went for a quick cold snap harassment over on top of Solo, and managed to take away a large portion of his life and also force out a South. Just a small thing, but in a lane like this, when you're battling up against a Lich as well as an Ember Spirit, you need anything to go your way. Especially when he hasn't finished up a bottle yet. In fact, whilst over on the courier Stumpy is sitting a little bit further out from base right now. So I'm interested to see if S4 is going to finish up his phase boots first or just rely on his high levels up in Quas. Top lane, we got Initiation. It's over on the Weaver, but actually using him as bait to then go in on Golblack. They knew the Shikuchi was up, but it was the Nightmare set up from EGM, which looked very, very hopeful from Alliance.
Yeah, this is just one of those things. Unfortunately, they try to do the heal bomb combination and instantly pop somebody, but pardon me, BZZ, I can't recognize him always because it's 633 sometimes, but BZZ, he reacted perfectly by taking out the Nightmare as well as scooching himself out. So just as you said, both teams were completely aware of what each other's kits were available and reacted perfectly.
You might also notice too that, actually that's some ballsy play by EGM. He's got himself a salve, which I think is the only reason why he leveled that up. But he levels up in Feeble, overtaking up the Brain Sap. This top lane's been a main thing for Roskis was Weaver, as well as the tree, just searching for the Bane out of position. So go into a Leech Seed, harass him with range with a Geminate attack, and Shikuchi if possible as well. So then they can they could have the potential to get a first blood on one of these supports here. Because they're probably not feeling it on the Lycan. Going through his stout shield, not to mention his high life points, is going to be hard enough as it is. Let alone you've still got RK as well as EGM behind the lines. Going to make sure that Lycan will always stay alive.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard to pressure this tri lane no matter what. Once again, RoX KISS lineups very good for aggression on some departments, but it's mainly trying to stay alive. Now S4 is getting initiated on, but I don't think he's going to fall from this one. As a matter of fact, Soul better watch out himself.
Ooh, a quick turnaround with the tornado. Soul is low on life. I don't know if the attacks with the extra tower hit. That may be enough for the bottle charge for the Prophet. In comes Bulldog. Ensures the first kill, but they're going to turn this into a double. S4, the attack hits up the hill. So that's a good thing for Yol. Admiral Bulldog needs vision. He's going to try and walk around. S4's coming back in for this. That's some ballsy play.
S4, that was so cocky. I love watching this guy playing. Certainly one of the most cerebral players at the mid lane you'll ever see. He's all brains and just all calculations. It's really nice to see. He basically assumed that the Lich would not be able to get 2 attacks off with his slow animations as well as his slow attack speed. Decided to just go for it on the Evoker, saying, I got the Quas. To hell with it, if I die, it doesn't even matter at this point.
Did Lich actually have Frost Blast? Because I checked him after and I wasn't sure, because it wasn't on cooldown when he died.
It probably just came up as he died. I'm not too sure, but basically you'll try to react as fast as possible, and S4 got the better of him.
Well, that now means Alliance go 2-0, which takes their advantage, which was technically going the way of RoX KISS just before that, with 700 experience as well as just a little bit ahead in the gold, but it racks up about 750 for both going their way. And Admiral Bulldog,
nice.
He's intercepting the creep wave. They're trying to buy some space for them to dive on Goldblack. And if not Goldblack, they just force out the tower. And BZZ, they don't want to fight in him, but there's TP support coming. And this with Seedoy, they're going to try and fight. He's surging himself in with the Iron Shell, and RK really slowed down by that Leech Seed, massively controlling up the Dazzle. But they're all backing up. EGM, he's already used his Nightmare. They're surging up the list looking for the Frost Blast so they can keep EGM, and, well, maybe they'll try and dive on the tower, but Admiral Bulldog comes in at the perfect timing for the Sprout. Enfeeble over on the Weaver too, so even if he dives an EGM, his damage output really is enough, which means that another Nightmare, Brain Sap is available. But they don't really have enough follow-up damage. Actually, no, it's not. He's short of the mana by 25. So Weaver will just run himself away to safety. But they did TP in a lot of heroes to make that top lane kill happen.
Oh yeah, but I feel like RoX KISS still made the perfect decision with that regard. I mean, it's always a nice thing to see Prophet TPing in and creating like a favorable or an even situation to one that's massively favorable to the team with the Prophet, because it just creates that disparity in numbers. But at the same time, when you dedicate the Prophet as well as your tri lane to commit for 1 kill and then all of a sudden you lose out on that department, it's bad. It's okay because, yeah, a lot of times you force out TPs, but look at how RoX KISS is reacting. Like, they have the Darkseer. He was very content with just... He farmed up a small jungle camp right there just now. Is going to be able to rotate around and has a bottle, so he can decide to either bottle crow or just use that as an excuse to go back to base, heal up full, and return to the lane. Or the end, of course, the Weaver, who doesn't have any mana anymore, but out of that whole exchange, he's still fine in terms of HP because he salved up, as well as the Lich, who came in with boots, was able to help assist securing the kill, and now he can return to the mid lane to harass S4 some more. So, I don't know. I don't think it's all that bad for them. I think, as a matter of fact, I would say Alliance lost out of that.
Yeah, I agree to a point. The only other point which gives an upside for Alliance is the fact that Admiral Bulldog has free space again on the bottom lane to farm up. And I still feel that as far as the pushing potential, the timing for Alliance goes, as long as they don't lose Lycan, and they don't delay out his Vladimir's offering, and S4 as well as Admiral Bulldog still get a decent level of farm in the early point to transition into the high-level Necro books, then Alliance's timing is still going to be better than RoX KISS's. Because I'm still looking at a Weaver who's managed to pick up 10 for 0 in 5 minutes. For BZZ, that's horrendous CS. And the Darkseer might help make some space because he's managed to pick up 31. That bottom lane, Admiral Bulldog, he couldn't control the Darkseer, he couldn't control the double Iron Shells. There was just no way for him to possibly win that bottom lane, especially after he TPs out and maybe doesn't get everything he was searching for. So, yeah. Right now, I'm still feeling like Alliance is still going to hit the sweet spot, but it's a good start. It's a good start for RoX KISS. They're not hitting their perfect farm, but it's a good start for them.
Oh yeah, I certainly believe that as well. As so long as their heroes kind of stay alive and, as you said, not get the perfect CS that they're looking for, the absolute best, they can still hit that timing because so long as their draft is intact,
Nightmare.
it's ever existed.
Middle lane, it got taken off by Yol. And S4, he still really wants to gank up on solo, but Yol was just there at the right time. They're still diving in. The Brain Sap is only level 1, so their nukage power is really not that great. Tornado is still available, but this is some over-aggression. Even though they do, it's the Howl buff up from Loader, which is giving them the confidence to do what they're doing.
Once again, a lot of synergy and that, yeah, global assistance with the Howl, the extra 20 damage, kind of functioning as a mini chilling touch from the Ancient Apparition. Certainly helps the fray. But, you know, some of these nightmares that are getting completely countered up by RoX KISS's good awareness on their team, I'm gonna have to hold that thought because they're initiating on a solo. I don't think they can commit to that kill though.
They can't. They have to dive too far into the tower. With Admiral Bulldog, who wanted to TP in when he did, that would have actually turned out perfectly, especially with the over-aggression coming out from Solo. Weave might kill Lycan in the meantime, but in comes Admiral Bulldog. They're searching for Solo. The Sprout can go. Bane is very low on life. With the Brain Sap and then the Nightmare into Yol, he's got enough life points to give him the space to survive. While Darkseer is trying to chase an Admiral Bulldog. He's already used his Phase Boot, so S4, he can turn into a Cold Snap, which is probably the reason why Seedoy isn't running up towards the high ground. But that's going to be, I'm not going to say a great trade for either team, but good defense support coming in from both sides.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the heroes at mid lane did not fall. However, Loda did perish at the top lane, so I think that's the biggest story. Even though it was on the other side of the map, ironically, it happens to be the biggest deal because yeah, on that Lycan right now, he can't afford any sorts of delays, and I think that's coming to play right now because he's actually rotated down to the safe lane, saying, you know what, I actually need to farm really, really badly because I need to get my items online and do this pushing thing ASAP before some of their carries begin to try and outscale me. It's not that Weaver gets like innately stronger than a Lycan late game.
Bottom lane, they're going to go on Seedoy right now. Loader, they're coming in for the heal bomb right around him as well, but he's still got Surge available, and then the Prophet Holder bounces through. I was wondering where they're going to get that extra point of damage, but it's going to be Admiral Bulldog that takes it, and that fuels the Hand of Midas purchase.
Yeah, and he's going to be very satisfied with that one. At 8 minutes after all the movement that he's been doing, seriously, nobody does it better than Bulldog, simply put.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified.
Sorry.
I was thinking of something to fill in to say, but I was listening to you type away, and I found it very entertaining. So
really?
Yeah,
you were easily entertained, man. Double TP's bottom lane. This might entertain you more. The Courier is going to see Solo come in. He used the Spirit to jump in once, twice, and then on EGM. Going to stun him up to start with. EGM, he's still got Nightmare as well as Brain Sap available. He might have to use one or, if not, both of them right now. Stick Charges turns, there's your Brain Sap over on Solo. And S4 gives the Tornado, gives some extra buffing space up between both Alliance as well as RoX KISS. Seedoy not having a great time. An army of trees was Wolf Army behind him. He'll be able to surge himself away from that one, while EGM, 8 life points, will survive next to a Weaver. He's got 11 1 charges available as well as time lapse, but he'll need to use first 1 charges, then into time lapse, back into the lane, back searching for the TPing out Bane, but he just got there in the nick of time. I think BZZ was heavily relying on that living armor keeping him alive. Meanwhile, Yol, ulti will fly down, but it got lost in the creep wave. He threw it on a tree as opposed to over on top of S4. The stun might go unloaded, but he's in wolf form right now. S4 came back to take the hits from it, and then into a tornado. We will actually die from that fall after all of this. It's a comedy of fight right now.
Oh my goodness. That is very messy. You know, you remember that part where you mentioned that you're gonna need to wash your hands for some of this, man? That was dirty. That's quite intense right there. I can't believe that actually transpired the way it did. S4 came in after the Lich's huge mistake of misclicking that Chain Frost that could have potentially bounced earlier and prevented him from casting any extra spells. Instead, he says, oh, okay, you missed your biggest ultimate. I'm gonna come in. Little did he remember or notice that the Lich ultimate bounces at a huge range, was able to secure the second bounce on S4, and all of a sudden S4 took 500 burst damage. And now Seedoy, pardon me, is going to fall at the bottom lane. I think, nope. I think not.
He's got enough life points. They want the Weaver out of everything else. S4 sticking close to him. He doesn't have any other items though, and then the Frost Blast. It's a wonderful dusting time to come in from Yol. And to pick up the over-aggressive Invoker.
Yeah, he's playing very cocky right now. That's all I gotta say about that. And it's really nice to watch because some of the plays that he's making are very skillful, but at the same time, it's costing him deep too because he really can't be affording to die right now.
Ooh, BZZ. I'm wondering how long it's going to take before we see like defensive sentry wards coming out from Alliance. RK is known for planting them pretty thick. especially when you're considering pushing out lanes. Actually, then at the same time, yeah, they need him for the early stage of the game. They just don't want to nerf themselves going into that push still. So they want to have bigger items up and running. They need to have those arcane boosts finished over on Dazzle. BZZ, he was searching for Stumpy. Couldn't get close enough to see him properly.
But this is just the extent of what RoX KIS's lineup is able to do, even against the lineup of Alliance. I really thought that if Alliance played this safe, passive for the first little bit, allowed their initial items to kick in the early game phases, and then just bring about the mid game super quick before RoX KIS was prepared, that they could have toppled so many towers with much ease. But it's top lane now.
He's surged up, he's Iron Shelled, and he's trying to reach Loda in time.
Yeah, but Loda does have the shapeshift, so I think he would have been able to get out even if there was a follow-up from GoBlack.
And GoBlack was actually not wanting to come anywhere near that. The wolves were harassing him down while he's just trying to jungle.
Took a fair bit of moment damage actually, now that you pointed out. Only 3 armor on him.
Oh, EMP, Tornado, Solo. He jumps into the fist to try and evade it.
And also with success.
Oh, the Sprout, Solo again though. Spirit, it's so hard to trap an Ember Spirit. And now GoBlack wants to try and fight in the middle lane. Throws the ulti out. He only managed to pick up RK in this. EMP Tornado is still down. And Solo's running away. He doesn't want to be involved in anything, really.
That ultimate from GoBlack seemed very casual.
I really think he thought, okay, we can get just a quick pick off. Even if we only kill one, it's still worth it. And killing off the Dazzle, in my mind, is still worth it. But losing someone like a Lich in mid with a Cold Snap, the Prophet ulti bouncing through, now Solo buys him the space. BZZ TP's in as well. RK, only thing he can do is Shallow Grave. He's got no extra support he can get from S4, and in fact, Solo just jumps down to pick him off so they can go back to Dazzle, who actually ended up TPing himself back out to base. So again, S4 gets punished, but Loda's pushing up the top tower. Cedo is trying to hold him off, and EGM's nearby. But Admiral Bulldog is also taking the tier 1 tower in the bottom lane. Towers within deny range, and then living armor makes it so it is not.
Yep. And honestly, this is how I feel like their draft has been crafted from the start. They should really look to avoid every single fight, and what they did at mid was perfect. I think the worst thing about it is for sure that S4 died, and I feel like he shouldn't have, because he could have just kept walking away with the Wex and probably outran the Weaver, even with the Scoochie factored in, as well as Solo, who was trying to ulti in. But he decided to see that Aki was getting pursued out and hold that Cedo was getting pursued out.
Into a Fiend's Grip. There's nothing that's going to stop him. And this is a Darkseer who just got very, very greedy and bought a hand of Midas.
Ooh.
So he'll be able to catch up, but he's definitely nerfed himself at the start of this game.
Yeah, I don't know about the Midas pickup right now, because it would work out if the game went on beyond 25 minutes, but I feel like with Alliance beginning to kick in with their pushes right now, Bulldog on the other side of the map with 5 treants ready to go for the push, and Alliance pushing the top tower down like that. 6-6 score, but seems like things could go very well in favor of them very quickly. But just as I say that, RoX KIS do secure themselves a nice counter move, which is the taking of the tier 1 tower at mid lane.
Yeah, this is... RoX KIS is still looking very, very good. The only thing I'm fearful of is what I've been watching for the past, like, 2 weeks, which is the Lycan 20-25 minute push with Necrobooks.
Exactly.
That's the main thing I'm really still scared of for RoX KIS. RoX KIS, as far as stats go, you're not going to say this is a bad one. Weaver is slowly caught up with his farm. They've got 2 kills up on him, even if there is 1 death. But he's got Medallion Treads as well as Ring of Aquila for 14 minutes in for not the best start in the world. You've got Solo on this bottom lane. It's got Phase Boots and a drum. Like he's going into the treads, but it's taking him some time. And you got Cedoy with a hand of Midas and a bottle. That's basically it. You can have Urns on supports. You can have Arcane Boots as well. But it's not going to save heroes like GoBlack, who gets EMP Tornadoed, and the Prophet ulti to bounce through. And the Wolves are still searching for an extra kill over on Cedoy. So basically, the point I'm trying to make is RoX KIS had a decent start, but it hasn't transitioned into items that's going to let them defend against the Alliance push.
And once again, they certainly don't have the right pieces when it comes to picks, because counter push comes in a very, very heavy commitment on their part, and that is pretty much a 5-man aggression or team fight, if you would. So in terms of dealing with split pushes coming out of the Prophet as well as Lycan, it's just going to be so difficult to topple that hurdle. And once again, RoX KIS, they must feel hard pressed right now to do something, and by that I mean some sort of rotation that'll secure a really big core kill without losing a tower, and honestly I don't see too many possibilities in that regard.
Yeah. it's kind of hilarious that we say, yeah, just rotate around, try and secure a tower when you got a hero like an Ember Spirit that can be everywhere on the map. But
yeah,
he doesn't. Like, we talked about a glass cannon build because you can do that when you have heroes like Leech Seed and then Frost Armor, so the Tree and Protector as well as Lich really do enable him to do this kind of stuff. Lich, are we going to give this a shot? No, it's just an EMP Tornado to just piss off Solo. Well, actually, it's going to be middle lane. Fiend's Crypt is available, and EGM is walking up towards the high ground. Sentry Ward, now they go to the Fiend's Crypt. The back will cancel this off, however, and with the time lapse and now living armor, he can turn around and try and fight on EGM. He's got 9 1 charges available. Nightmare in 1 second, but it's taking too long, especially with the bug on top of him. So the other heroes just TP themselves out. Lotus pushing the bottom lane, while Goldblack will battle one-on-one with S4.
And this is, once again, the impact of not being able to secure really early towers for Alliance. They've been doing these small skirmish aggressions every now and then, especially with Bane as well as the Prophet TPing
This TP bottom lane. Solo's going to have a crack at Loda. But Loda, he's still got his Druid. There you go. Up into the Wolf. Runs away. They need the extra stun to try and hold him there. He's moving up. He's moving down. You're on basically a wild goose chase. Another stun. Loda tries to TP out. But not fast enough. So they lose Loda on the bottom lane, which is not great. But at the same time, he finished up his Necro Book and bought a TP scroll before death, so he didn't lose any money. And they gained the tier 2 tower while up on top lane. EMP Tornado into Goldblack. Admiral Bulldog comes in with his level 2 Necro units. And they'll be able to secure this top tier 2 tower.
Yeah, the push it's inevitable at this point. The only 2 towers standing are the 2 towers at mid lane. Of course, Cedo can't really pursue this out with just the Vacuum as well as Surge because he might just get turned on by Invoker and Prophet, who are both more farmed than him and stronger range cores at this point in the game. So, once again, these teamfight scenarios are what RoX KIS has to force, but they're just getting split up and torn apart from every single angle. We saw at bottom lane, they secured the Lycan kill, just as you said, but it just wasn't enough because the aggression was actually on the other side of the map with the main story of 2 of Alliance's other 2 cores securing the kill on Goldblack as well as the tower yet again. And even at bottom, as you said, they just couldn't stop the tower from falling even though they got the kill. And it just goes to show the power of the Alliance push with the Necrobooks, with their heroes. And as you say that, we see Bulldog picking up book 3, Loda has already his book 1, and S4 is going to go into his Orchid to counter up the Ember Spirit. So can we say Alliance are standing well even though the standoff is happening in the score? It's 8-8. I would say Alliance has a huge favor.
If you look at the gold advantage, you'll understand where we're really moving with this game. 5,000 advantage to Alliance, most of which they've claimed in just the last 4 minutes. This is the problematic thing. And now you also add an Orchid Disable coming out from the Invoker. We're not going for the full push, which is actually quite right. Like, you're going, in fact, BKB. In fact, is this Weaver even considering that? This Weaver is a Mithril Hammer in his stash right now. He might be looking at straight Desolator and we go full glass cannon out from RoX KIS. And I actually agree, this is the only way they can do it.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, of course, without the BKB, he's literally going to melt the Prophet ulti as well as Invoker spells. There's no doubt about it.
And
but
he can't do anything about the Necro units either.
Yeah, exactly. But he has to go for that opportunity when he finds them. And now S4 TP's in, but he has the combo.
Very smart with the Orchid to stop Solo from getting the stun off. And now Solo low on life, low on mana. They're going to try and force out this tower at the same time in middle lane. The Howl buff up's already been triggered. This tier 2 tower will be traded quicker than RoX KIS can do theirs. And Tree Protector just got killed off. Wait, how'd that happen?
He died to the tower, I think. with Invoker.
They're losing tier 3. The Weaver's giving such a huge buff up to every single one of these minions. And they force the fortification. Now Solo's going to try and jump in. He'll be bouncing around inside this fist forever. While the Lich ulti also, again, going into the fight. They've only picked up the Bane, but they've got to look for more here. With the 3 heroes, they can lock him up. Double stun. RK tries to turn a fire with the EMP burn. There's already the Shallow Grave being used on RK. It's going to keep him alive for now, but with the generated attack, extra hit, BZZ will be able to pick up a double kill from this. While Lodo's in his ultimate form, they needed more help during that fight. And Admiral Bulldog, well, he's actually just saying, screw this. We're back to our rats. Lodo goes into farm. The 3 cores of Alliance still survive through that while they picked off the Darkseer, who still hasn't transitioned into that mech yet. Because he went to Hand of Midas, he still hasn't got his first key item.
And now we look at Bulldog, who's just rotated bottom, has his ultimate up for an extra surge of gold if he would desire, but I'm pretty sure he's going to save it for the next engagement / team fight. Now, he's got almost 3k gold on top of being the most farmed hero on the map with the Necrobook as well as the Midas. And by Necrobook, I mean Necrobook 3, because right now the story for everybody is not a Necrobook 3. Loda still has his Necrobook 1 on his
S4.
1 position hero.
Frost, BTZ's going to stick with him on this one. Push the bug on him.
Dust?
There's 9-1 charges. There is a gem over on Yol, and that's why Nightmare is applied to Yol. Keep him away from the Invoker. RK comes in to give an earn charge, and the TP out very, very smartly by the Lich. Gets all the way back to safety. And BZZ will also Shikuchi himself out. Wants to make sure he's home and host.
In the meanwhile, yeah, Roshan does get taken out by
Solo.
Bulldog as well as...
He steals an Invis rune. But you're right. I think Solo was considering trying to defend on Roshan, but they should consider middle lane, protecting their two supports. Already, there's the silence over. It's holding Goldblack out of play right now while the Lich will pop. Goldblack gets a decent ulti, but with a weave coming up from RK, they're getting stronger and stronger. Tornado hits on Seedoy. He'll be locked in position with the Fiend script. The gem gets also swiped away from Roskis, and this will be mid-Rax, and I would not be surprised if we even see a GG call coming out from Roskis. I do not see them being able to repel firepower of this magnitude.
Yeah, I don't know what Goldblack's going to do now. He's rotating back in, but he doesn't have ultimate now.
Oh, watch him go. Wait. Oh, GM! Shallow Grave has to be used on him. It's the only way to keep him alive. The EMP will burn out the Weaver. He was on the front lines of all of that. While Solo's Nightmare up, they're diving in deeper for Goldblack. I don't know if he'll die from the Tornado Fall. In fact, he'll die from the Cold Snap follow-up. While Solo, wow, it's a triple kill for Res4. Roskis are basically feeding themselves to him right now. And there it is,
It
GG.
almost seemed like it. Yeah, almost seemed like it at the position that he was chasing after Goldblack, and all of a sudden, a nice solo just happens to land upon him with pretty much all of his HP bar gone. Now the GG is called, but I think it was predicted, Toby, just as you said, from 20 to 25 minute mark. This kind of pushing lineup that Alliance had crafted for themselves from the very start of the game, it seemed like a recipe for disaster for RoX KIS, and honestly, they did fine in their lanes, just as you said, but it just couldn't transition out to anything bigger than that, because once they lost a couple towers, map control became impossible against the mobility of Alliance. So I think the game plans went accordingly for our Radiant team. Unfortunately, on the side of Dire, they have one chance right now to get themselves back in.
Well, let's see if they can do it. Roskis, of course, they've got a hard run ahead of them now. They're basically going to force Alliance to go through 2 games if they want to keep their hopes alive here in the D2CL. Because if they don't, we could have ourselves a 3-way tie in the other direction. Because I got to actually apologize. I was wrong with what I said before. We actually have a possibility for 3 teams to be 1 for 3. That's if Sigma beats Fnatic and Roskis loses here. Then we actually have a 3-way tie for the 3rd position. So it is possible for all teams tonight playing to still get themselves into the playoffs, but we may have ourselves a rather messy tiebreaker situation. For now, though, we're going to get a short break, and we'll come back here for Alliance versus Roskis, game number 2 for the Dota 2 Champions League.